Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Nancy Neckel, and I have decided to give you guys videos on sleep tips. So I happen to have a PhD from Yale studying sleep, and anytime anyone hears that, they say, oh my gosh, tell me everything you know. A lot of people tell me, oh my gosh, I have so much trouble sleeping. Do you have a book? Do you have a business? Anything that can try to help me? So I have done both, but I decided to open it up and offer sleep tips to the millions out there that have sleep trouble. So a little bit of background about me. I started out as a nurse, and I worked in the emergency department, and then I went on to grad school, became a nurse practitioner, worked in trauma for many years. And it was my experience in working as a trauma nurse practitioner that made me start to recognize how much sleep affects performance and how many injuries I was getting to the hospital that were sleep-related injuries. So I went to Yale, got my PhD studying the relationship between sleep falls injuries, and then have moved on to sharing what I know about sleep. So I'm going to offer videos, hopefully every day, as much as I can, to offer you tips to sleep. And most of you are probably watching this because that applies to you. You have trouble sleeping. But even if you don't really feel like you are an insomniac, you may have like off nights or looking for some tips that could help when you have certain stretches or episodes that make time to sleep more difficult. So for the first video, I will just start with something very simple and often very common that people know about, but not necessarily know everything about the extent of it. And that's caffeine. Big surprise. Now, caffeine can be your best friend if you're looking to try to use a countermeasure if you're sleepy and you're trying to function during the day. Because it is a stimulant. It's actually considered a drug, which is, extreme, but true, a stimulant drug. And so it will actually help you. And the good news is that it absorbs rapidly. You can start feeling the effects as soon as 5 minutes. But it can be your worst enemy if you're trying to sleep. So if you're a coffee lover, this can be a problem. Or if you have shifts or work or something that has you drinking coffee late, or not just coffee, it could be anything with caffeine. That can be sodas, Red Bulls, obviously, something like an energy drink. That's the whole point of those. Or even like teas and chocolate has caffeine. But a typical cup of coffee has about 100 milligrams of caffeine. And you can start to feel the effects of caffeine with just 30 to 32 milligrams. So you can see that it doesn't take that much to have a stimulant effect, which is bad if you're trying to sleep. So the advice is to not drink caffeine too close to bed, of course. So caffeine has a half-life of 5 hours, which means 5 hours after drinking caffeine, you still have half of it floating around in you. So if you drank a basic cup of coffee, which we said was 100 milligrams, and 5 hours later, you have 50. And we said you start to feel the effects at 32, which means 5 hours later, you're still feeling the effects. So if you're a typical person that goes to bed around 10 p.m., don't drink caffeine later than 2 p.m. Really, a good general rule is to not drink caffeine in the afternoon if you can. But try your best. Now, if you go to bed later than 10 p.m., you could try to push it a little bit later and make it like 3 p.m. I think if you have trouble sleeping and you are a coffee drinker, that you have to be cognizant about how close it is to bedtime because of the half-life and how long it hangs around in your body. And the reason why caffeine has an effect is because it's very chemically similar to something called adenosine. And caffeine is a little bit like a wolf in sheep's clothing in that it mimics adenosine. So throughout the day, we have adenosine levels that accumulate. And then when we sleep, we bring our adenosine levels down. Once we reach a high level of adenosine, we reach sleepiness. But because caffeine is very similar to adenosine, it ends up attaching to the receptors and blocks the sleepiness feeling that we would normally get from adenosine. So that's a little bit about how it even works and why it matters. We generally know caffeine is a stimulant and it makes us feel awake when we want it. And we know we're probably not supposed to drink it too late. But this is a little bit of understanding why that's the case and how far away to separate it from bed. So we're just starting out simple today because this is our first video, but we're going to do videos every day through 2023. By the way, happy 2023. I didn't say that when I started, so I want to say happy 2023. Here we go. We're going to have good sleep this year. So follow me and hopefully we're going to have lots of fun and good sleep, learning a lot. And till next time.